So I was first introduced to CASA through my undergrad. They would come in and talk to like our classes, and there was actually a research project that I was doing where I was interviewing different women in politics, and during that I actually met someone who was on the board of CASA, and I was just kind of like letting her get to know me. I was getting to know her and I was telling her about my background, and she recommended that I reach out to CASA about doing an internship and then becoming a volunteer. And so that's kind of how it started, and as soon as I did it, I just kind of fell in love with the whole program and everything that they stand for, and so now I'm still here.
Great. So why is it important to do the fundraising that we're doing with this radiothon for CASA?
Yeah, so CASA does a lot to help out with the kids. I know for me especially, I helped pay for the child to do volleyball programs, which was super cool and something that she really enjoyed. And that's not necessarily something that other programs will pay for or like a foster parent might be able to afford at that time. So it's nice to let the kids do different things. And also I've given like birthday presents to kids and that kind of thing. And it just really helps with their self-esteem and feel appreciated by, someone other than what's going on right now.
Right, I've heard plenty of the fact that as a volunteer you get to be kind of a rock for what can be a really turbulent time for a kid's life. What are some of the things that you think about when you're like, okay, today might be a heavy kind of day? How do you kind of prepare yourself for that?
I really tend to think about the kid at those moments, and I'm more worried about how they're going to be feeling, whether it's like a court hearing or maybe we just have some really heavy stuff to talk about in a visit. And I try to really gauge their emotions like as it's going on, or maybe if they're not fully understanding something, if I need to take a step back and try to explain that a little bit more. But yeah, I think trying to take myself out of the situation and more trying to put myself in the kids' shoes.
What have you seen as far as positive impact from? Volleyball camp is a fun thing, but what are some other positive impacts that you feel like you've been able to have with your kids?
Yeah, I feel that I've really been able to help with that mentorship role and just being able to be there for them if they're, really struggling with stuff emotionally. I've been able to go say like, hey, like just talk. Like if you just need to vent right now, that's okay. And I'll just be there and listen. And I feel that that's really helped our relationship and them be able to express some things that they might not be able to talk about with other people and just kind of open those doors.
Volunteers are coming in all different ages. I just talked to Susan, who is a retired school counselor, and she's been with CASA now for 12 years. You are on the different age spectrum from where Susan is. So as a younger person, how do you feel like you are able to connect with the kids that you're helping?
Yeah, so I'm currently 24. I started working with CASA when I was 21, and I still have the same child that I started with. I've only had one, and she is a teenager. So I feel like I've been really able to relate to like a high school experience and that kind of stuff because I'm not too far out of that, but I feel like that's helped. And like the language, if that makes sense, like using like slang words, I'm able to pick up on that pretty quick. So
as someone who's younger, what would you tell someone else about your age or thereabouts, somewhere in college, young adult? What would you tell them about CASA to try to encourage them to be a volunteer?
Yeah, I think personally CASA is just a great program. It's a great way to give back to your community, especially at a younger age. You don't have to go through, like, besides the training itself, you don't have to get like a college degree to be able to help someone out who's in need, but like also just a vulnerable population. Like they need people to speak out for them and explain stuff, especially in such a professional setting like the courtroom. And I think that just really helps being able to be that voice, especially if like you have a child that's younger. It can really kind of just not get taken away, but can sometimes take the back seat when there's more pressing issues. And I think kind of being a little bit closer in age, especially like if you're younger, can just really help like navigate that.
Yeah. Because again, I was just talking with Susan, and she was talking about, sometimes when you get into actual court, the report that you give becomes even more amplified, because sometimes that's the first thing that's being looked at as opposed to what attorneys are looking at. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so the court reports are kind of looking at the child's needs, child's wishes, and then also just like updates as to what's been going on. And, some other professionals, they're also looking at like how the parents are doing and that kind of thing, where our reports are really focusing on what the kid wants and what the kid wants this situation to look like. And not all the time the judge will speak directly with the kid and ask them like, hey, like, what do you want to happen here? And so providing that report can just really give a lot of good insight and just kind of help steer that.
Yeah.
I feel like CASA is such a great program, and I will speak so highly of it to anyone that I talk to. But I've also noticed that not a lot of people know about CASA. Like when I say that, they're like, what does that stand for? What does that mean? What do you do? What does that look like? And I think just talking about it more and bringing that awareness, I've heard more and more people say like, that's such a cool program. Like I didn't know that that's something they do. And like, I would like to help out with that and that kind of thing. And it's really beneficial. Like even if you don't think like you can take the time to volunteer and work with a kid, there's still other ways that you can contribute to the program and help kids in a roundabout way.